CEO of Stears. Just to ask, does anyone know about Stears business? Anyone Did anyone use the election sites for, doing 2019 elections? Yes. Okay, so, some people have introduction to Stears, but what I'll do is I will tell you a little bit about Stears, what we do, why we started. Actually, I know one of the talks that are going to be streaming is actually from my partner, Abdul. He's currently at the conference in Canada, and we presented a paper on data privacy. And I think that happened earlier, but time's a bit different. But he's actually presented and we'll be streaming it here, so I think that can give you a bit more insight into the more sort of discussions we have. But Stears at its core is an information company, and we basically started because we felt there was a big data gap in Nigeria. When I say data, you can think of so many different examples of information that is missing, right? From how many Nigerians are there, some people say 180, 200, last census was, eons ago. How many Nigerians are in different states? We don't know, right? Economic activity, usually understood, calculated, aggregated at national level, right? So we felt that, we could do a lot more in terms of plugging that information gap. And that is why we actually started Stears Business, which is the sort of media division of Stears. And that is basically a business publication, right? We focus on sort of finance, economics, those sort of issues. And we try to make sure we don't do news, but instead we do news analysis, right? And big distinction is, we're not trying to track everything that, is said by some, politician or CBN entertainment. We try to make sense of it, right? Doing that actually then led us more concretely into the data space. And that is when Stears Data was born, right? And I think that's primarily why we're involved here, right? And Stears Data is this division where we realize, well, it's one thing to put out sort of text and it's one thing to write articles, right? But people still need sort of raw information that they can use for their own analysis, right? And that is what they can actually use to create more knowledge. So we felt that it was important to go, the extra mile, go a bit deeper into what we were trying to do with the information gap, right? And Stears Data today has basically two sides. Data analytics and product side, and also the advisory side. And we've done more work this year on the advisory side. So basically, someone has a question or a data collection exercise, right? And they just want the data for that. So I'll give an example. During the elections, we had the sort of public election sites, which some people use. I think over the 10-day period of both elections, we probably had about 3 to 4 million visitors just on our election sites. But we're doing something also more privately now. We had someone who wanted to collect information at polling unit level, right? So INEC and organizations release information at the collation center, and they wanted to know, okay, is it possible to just get that information from polling units, right? And so what we did was we put together a network of about 600 to about 800 agents, spread out across the country, and we attached them to different polling. They're probably about 120,000 polling. So we're focused on trying to get just a small selection of them, right, for a good sample side, right? And as elections were at each polling unit, as soon as they announced the actual sort of results, right, 300 votes to one party, 200 votes, right, they sort of captured that, took a picture and sent it to us. And we started sort of collating it from the moment that happened, right? And we put together a pretty interesting sample size from there were about 800 different polling stations, right, that we're able to look at. But, some of the data from some of the polling units was obviously not legitimate, so we ended up using only about 600, right? But that gave us a flavor into what sort of data collection can look like here. Before we get to stage of analytics and running a lot more deeper analysis, right? You really need the underlying information. So that's sort of data advice. We do, a number of other things there as well, but that should give you a flavor. On the analytics and product side, that's really what we're trying to grow, and that's why we're sort of here, because we need talent. We want people to actually join us and help us. And we have what we call Project Ken there, and Project Ken is really an attempt for us to capture disaggregated data, so hyper-local data. Like I said, a lot of numbers and a lot of thinking around Nigeria is so national, right? It's always aggregated, GDPs, aggregated, a lot of key information on employment. Obviously, the NBS works very hard to capture sort of more granular data, right? But we want to be able to answer questions like, what is the GDP of Lekki? What's GDP of Iko? Really get to that level and start thinking from that, ground up level. So that requires us to, one, bring together people with different, expertise, right? Have economists in the team, data scientists that do who you hear from. We even have sort of lawyers in the team, again, interdisciplinary, because we know the information that we're dealing with requires, again, different skill sets, right? And what we want to do in terms of that information, right, is basically put on a platform, right? Now, there are lots of discussions internally about how open or closed that platform should be. And we know, obviously, you make it open and people have a lot of access to more information about Nigeria. So again, balancing that, how open do you want to be in terms of open data platform versus, closed and subscription model. But again, the core thing at this point for us is, doing the building, doing collection, and then, taking the more technical step of really trying to do more analysis on that. Unfortunately, I think one of my programmers was here, Baristas, but he's not here anymore, so I'll talk a bit more on the technical side, right? But at the same time, I'm still around, and if you want to have a conversation about that, put you in touch with some of the more technical members of the team. But what we're looking for really, we're looking for talent, like I said. We're currently hiring so data scientists, engineers. We have put out a couple of job roles. You can find them on sort of stearsng.com. That's the sort of business site. There's an article, and don't get distracted because there are two separate job descriptions. One for the sort of media team, which has more sort of analysts and those sort of people, and then data side, which is more technical. We definitely encourage you to apply if you see anything that's interesting. I hope that you actually enjoy Abdul's presentation. I remember going through that paper, and it really just talks about data privacy, right? And I think many people have a view of data privacy, and there's a push now for us to think of data like property rights. I have control over it, and I can sort of sell it. I don't want company to hold it. But there are questions there, right? Because if suddenly overnight I have access to this new asset, right, that is valuable because the company wants to buy it, right? I'll easily sell it if I need the money, right? But again, there's some things, and we would argue that there's some things that perhaps should not be available for sale because they're so important. Kind of like rights, should they be available for sale? Votes, should that be available for sale? Legitimately, at least. So again, these are conversations we're having, and we have a data team. So please do have a look. I'm still going to be here, watching our news because I have what to talk. We just discuss it a lot in terms of when we're creating the paper. But yeah, I'm just sitting there. So if you want to talk to me about Stears, even if you're interested in sort of media side, again, happy to have a conversation. And yeah, thank you all for having me, and this is a wonderful event, so thank you guys so much. If anyone has any questions, non-technical questions. Do you have questions?
The remaining 200 was like a forged data or
Well, so I think that's the Nigerian factor. And that, well, it was just clear, right? When a lot of data come in, we see the anomaly, right? So, I think some people took it as an opportunity to show their party affiliation, right? So you see, because we also had WhatsApp for each stage, right? So the structure was we had it in our office, right? Regional focus head to northwest, northeast, and they then had 6 states each, right? And they had sort of WhatsApp groups to pull the agents together, right? And then they were onboarded onto sort of data collection platform. So some people say, I've submitted my results, right? Buhari won all the votes in the polling unit, APC 300, PDP 0. Like, well, that didn't happen. And so we saw a lot of that. Again, those elections, very, very, there are other factors that go into it. And what was actually interesting was we were planning to do incidents reporting as well, right, during the elections. And what we shelved that idea. The issue was that we had left the poll on one data, which was calling a sort of data collection platform. So some people saw it and thought that they were supposed to actually fill it in, right? So we started getting a stream of incidents reporting from different states. And there was an incident I remember of a soldier getting shot. I can't remember what state it was, right? But we saw it very early in the morning, right? And about an hour, 2 hours later, Sahara reporters, reported that. It was interesting that we sort of saw that very, very early because the guy literally saw it and just put a message, right? We got a lot of people sending in things like, just basics of INEC had not come there. There's no sign of INEC, as an incident report. One interesting, stat we saw was that enough people reported that a vote in Ekiti State cost 500 naira. And that's what, they were literally sharing out. And so again, we saw those sort of things, right? It wasn't the goal, but, when you have agents there. But yeah, heavily influenced by the fact that election is sort of Nigeria, so you have to be very careful with data. Yeah.
Thank you. During your presentation, I think I had like NBS. I'm not sure if you mean National Bureau of Statistics.
NBS,
Yeah.
National Bureau of Statistics.
Okay.
Yeah. I said they're working on a lot of data collection. Now it's Dr. Yemi.
Do you work with them?
No, we haven't worked with them, and definitely we have plans to work with them, because what we want to do with the data it's about layering, right? So you get one data set that gives you a picture maybe of an environment, and maybe it's population, whether it's an estimate, right? And then you lay on top of that additional information. So data from different sources, right, can be very, very useful. So the NBS acts as one source of data. I mean, there's a lot of there's quite a bit of data that official organizations push out, right? They don't push them out in forms that are very easy to use, right? If you get a PDF, and it's not just a PDF, it's a scanned PDF, so the picture is like sideways, right? And essentially, this is data. Like, well, it's not very useful, right? So there are challenges, but there is quite a bit of public data, and there are quite a number of international organizations also trying to collect data, right? So we try to pull from public sources. I mean, for the elections, we put out the 2015 election results, right? Also at state level, and a lot of people were asking, how did you guys, put it together? And I was like, well, it's actually publicly available, right? The problem is you have to read quite a number of premium times articles, right, to pull all the information together. But we just had an intern who came in to just collect 2015 election data, right? And we tried to speak to INEC and these organizations, they just said no. So we went ahead and just, collected from, tried to verify as much as possible, looking for 2 sources, the result. But yes, that's what we do.
How about taking data from NGS as a source of sourcing for data? Well, I discovered that when you go on NGS, and most of the data there's a lot of inconsistency in them, and some of them are politically motivated because of based on the government that is in power, that tends to influence most of these data to favor whatever is happening on the situation and that. So what is your view about how to come about this? If there's going to be a correlation between what you are going to obtain and the accuracy of it?
Yeah.
Because I don't see NBS as a good source of data.
Yeah. I mean, what we do with that is we rely on experts. So one of my partners, because Stears actually started quite a while ago. It started at the London School of Economics. We're all sort of students there, right? And one of my partners, he's not here today, right? He's an economist. He was the chief economist at Betiba, which is an investment bank. And so he spent quite a bit of time working with different Nigerian data sets, right? We're released by the NBS as well as World Bank, IMF, right? So we try to rely a lot on that sort of subject matter expertise to identify information that we feel is not accurate enough to be used, right? Because for someone like me, right, when I see numbers, whether it's trade figures or anything of that nature, right, I can't easily tell, okay, is this legit, is this not, right? But for people who deal with that sort of information and can see that if, the government is saying this is 1 billion, like, well, that doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't just fit in. The economy, that sector is not large enough, right? They come in and they add that sort of human expertise to our understanding of the data, right? But again, I think what you've raised is a broader, data problem here, because if you go to maybe the other, countries, the Office of National Statistics, right? They provide the bedrock of information, right? Birth rate, death rates, economic activity, right? So we do have to rely on them to some extent, because, trying to, for instance, measure inflation in Nigeria, right? That is not an NBS, requires you to track your own basket of goods across 36 states with all the different discrepancies. So we're talking about, how do you go about doing that, right? And maybe you can use, e-commerce or sites that actually put out prices of goods and you measure how that changed over time, right? But it is still useful to start with sources like the NBS. Maybe some data points when you start talking about foreign reserves, that's a big issue, and so people want that number to look one way. But I mean, the amount of data put out even by the CBN is a lot, and for experts and economists, right, they can make sense of quite a bit of it. I think that's about it. No more questions? All right. Well, thank you very much.